Joel Embiid, which you've loved talking about the last couple of days. So I watched this video last night on YouTube. And it's this guy talking about the whole Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, like calling him out in that team meeting. And he links it to Kobe and Shaq on the Lakers. Now, I know what you're thinking. Pretty different, right? But the examples he uses are pretty good. So he talks about the first year after the three-peat, Kobe averages 30 a game for the first time. And it's that same year where Shaq had, I think it was a foot injury.
Yep.
And he had injured it in the playoffs and didn't get surgery until like the season had started.
Yeah. No, it was right before. It was like
right before.
October
Okay. Preseason.
Yeah.
And he had the now infamous line of, I got hurt on company time. I'll rehab on company time. Which, like, I mean, I know it was a big deal at the time. That would be fucking everywhere now. We're getting bludgeoned on social media, as you should. Like, that's an unbelievable thing to say. I wanted to have my summer and then I'll go recover. Like, that is wild. And so he links that back to Joel Embiid, and he's never ready to start a season, and now he's still hurt. And Tyrese Maxey's calling him out on being late to everything. And by the way, they were the same ages. Embiid 30, Tyrese Maxey 24, Shaq 30, Kobe 24. And it's like a fascinating kind of like, man, this really is. You obviously take away the 3 straight championships that the Lakers won, and it's a lot of the same.
That's where Joel Embiid finds himself in big trouble because he doesn't have a leg to stand on and not one championship ring to put on.
Yeah.
And that is where like the comparisons between him and Shaq end for me right away. I hate to be a guy like, oh, you got to win a championship to be in the conversation, X, Y, and Z. But like, I mean, Joel Embiid hasn't been to the conference finals.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing? You know? And so I think that Shaq he doesn't get a pass per se, but like, I do believe like 3 championships in a row can maybe make you soft. You know, like you're just like, wow, you know, like that you can lose some of that hunger. And Embiid doesn't have any like, and Stephen A. Smith was talking yesterday, and I love this because he goes back into beat writer mode. And by the way, I think I know exactly who his source is because there's a guy who works in the Sixers operations that's been there forever. And and every time Stephen A's at a game, they'll talk. And this guy's a great guy. But Stephen A says, you know, I've talked to someone around the organization, and he said ever since Joel Embiid got his bag, that he's basically told Sixers fans to kiss his ass the way he's been acting.
Yep.
And there's a lot of stuff around the organization that says he's changed since he got his huge contract. I think that it's the worst environment for a young player to come of age in, that Sixers tanking thing. And I don't give a shit what anybody says.
And he embraced the hell out of it. You'll remember. It's like, I want my nickname to be the process.
Yeah. And I just don't.
And this is what you get when they're now superstars. This is what you get.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. And I think he was just even like, you know, everybody's got like a dog to kind of like help them come of age. And Embiid never had that. He had Jimmy Butler and they got him out of there.
Yeah. And the Sixers, I look back on it, like since really the process ended or they were starting to draft those guys as part of the process, it's not that much different dysfunction-wise than like the Jets. Because you look at what the process brought you, and it's really Embiid. For all of those years, with the early part of it, Michael Carter-Williams, Nerlens Noel, then Ben Simmons, and all that drama, and Markelle Fultz, people thinking he ruined the poor kid. And Embiid is the only one that's kind of stuck around from it. And I don't know if you saw these comments this morning coming from Shams.
Tell me.
This is exactly the kind of response that you'll love. That Sixers fans it will help them sleep at night. Joel Embiid, whoever leaked that is a real piece of shit. Talking about the Sixers team meeting. We talked about a lot of things. I don't want to get into the details, but that whole thing probably took 30 seconds. Like, talk about the wrong answer. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is just, and you read that, you're like, this guy's just butthurt that this got out, that someone else called him out.
Yeah.
Instead, and there's ways you can say, like, yeah, we talked about a lot of things, but yeah, I take my role with this team very seriously. I love my teammates. I want to be a leader for them, and I'm going to work on this. And we want to come. This was a thing to come together as a team. Instead, it's bullshit that this got leaked, and the whole thing was about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And those are just two isolated quotes. So take that how you will. But like, that's just, it's like Sixers fans going to be banging their head against the wall.
Well, and I think the leak was strategic. I think whoever leaked it did it on purpose. I think that, there's an effort to make this guy accountable finally.
And he sees it as, you're trying to make me look bad.
and Tyrese Maxey is the last guy who wants to challenge Joel Embiid, but he had to. And the fact that it's come to that point is, it's not, I mean, you mentioned it. It's not Kyle Lowry,
Right.
So it's really frustrating. The organization's terrible, and they're not very popular right now among Sixers fans or like the city. They're trying to get an arena built. They don't want to spend any money.
Boy, that's a good way to get fans on your side, just in any market.
Yeah.
Like, golly, man. It's a Phillies town right now.
I know.
Oh, the Eagles are still sneaky pretty good, but
yeah, they are.
There's some dysfunction there, and people want to highlight that. But the Eagles are pretty good.
Yeah.
They also, in that video, when they're comparing him to the Shaq Kobe thing, they bring out Kobe did some interview Q&A thing, and they ask him about Shaq, and they were like, "You've said in the past, like, it pissed you off that Shaq didn't have your work ethic." He's like, "Yeah, it did." They said, "If Shaq had your work ethic, like, what would have been different?" And he said he would have been the greatest player of all time.
Yeah, but
I know how bitchy that kind of sounds, but when you accomplish what Kobe accomplished and kind of broke the mold of being that selfish superstar, I think he's got grounds to say that.
Okay. No, I'll push back.
Please.
Like, as someone who, first of all,
and I'm a noted Kobe hater.
Yeah, first of all, I know Kobe's past, and I know he did a lot of good things in the world, but I also have on good authority. Like, he was kind of a pain in the ass. Like, not a great guy.
And some also other things in his past that weren't great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he was a dick.
Yes. And it really took a lot. Like, Phil took a lot to beat that out of him in the post-Shaq era when they got back to the finals and won back-to-back.
And Shaq wasn't, like, well-liked among his teammates because he was, like, this jolly green giant people pleaser. Like, he set an example of his own, and he really was a positive influence on that team. Like, the nicest guy of all time. Like,
ask the general, baby.
Yeah, Shaq, by the way,
is Papa John.
He advertises everywhere, not just the general. Dude.
Everything.
Walk into an Office Depot. It's like you basically are greeted by the guy. But I think that Kobe, that's such a cliche. Somebody who grew up like a tall person, I can't tell you how many guys your size would be like, if I had your height, it's like, kick rocks, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you don't. And that's
I've said that to you, of course.
Yeah, of course, right? And like, for Kobe to say that, that's the ultimate, like, backhanded, like, comment.
Yeah.
I believe, like,
because it says, like, I do know how great you are, and you're so gifted, but
it doesn't say
you don't have that thing.
It doesn't
that I
say
have,
that's how great you are. I think
but
that you're
it kind of
lazy.
does. That's the compliment of the backhanded compliment. But it also says, if you have this trait that is more revered by people that I have, then you'd be the greatest.
Kobe was a killer. Like, there's no question. He was a killer. But
Aaron Hernandez, killer.
We are Rogue Media Sports.